Now You Hear Us is a podcast that shares the voices of young people who have experienced displacement. From refugee camps to host communities, we'll be sharing our views, insight, and thoughts on displacement, migration, politics, mental health, identity, friendship, art, and love. Some content discussed in our show may include references to traumatic experiences, including war, violence, abuse, sexism, and mental health issues, including depression and anxiety. Hello, lovely listeners. Welcome back to our March podcast. Today, we're digging into the concept of storytelling. Now You Hear Us is a podcast that shares our own experiences and stories. And so we thought you might like to hear a discussion between Asifa and myself about how it feels to share this with all of you and what drives and motivates us to continue creating this podcast. I have to be honest, it isn't always easy to open up and be vulnerable, and there are times when I simply don't want to open the door to certain memories or thoughts. The act of sharing our stories is many things: scary, sad, exciting, and sometimes even healing. And well, let's take a listen. Well, yeah, I was thinking about it the whole week. I was how exactly, I was searching for those feelings that, yeah, you're doing this, you're trying to participate, doing a podcast, making a podcast, and you're sharing a lot of things here. And obviously we all have limits, because they're too emotional. They're we're too sensitive on that specific part. And I cannot personally go around it. I have some memories that I tried to accept, and it was a long process, and I'm afraid of even going around it. And then I'm talking about my life, and those memories are part of my life, and I want to share them with other people. And it's important what I share to me. I'm sure it is to you too. And you think about what you're sharing and what you want to talk about to these people that they don't know you exactly. They just hearing your voice, and you are that person that I can be my own self while I'm talking to these people, these strangers, completely strangers, but we're kind of, I don't know, feel connected at some part.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I have kind of this feeling also when I share. I think it's affect me. It affects, I think, you all as well, in a negative way and as well in a positive way. So the negative way is that I always bring that dark past in my future. I always bring it and talk about it. And as you just explained, that there's some memories that it's very important to share with others. It's very important to be shared, but it's also very difficult. It's very hard to bring them to remember all that moments, and it's getting very sad. And you think, and when I think, for example, all of these podcasts about experience, about what we have been through, what I have seen in my myself, and it's kind of, yeah. And I want to show, I want to through this speaking, telling my story, I want to show the world what is happening. But I record this, this is the negative way from that what I think. And I look back and I still see those all of this happening right now with some other girls, with some other people, and just asking myself, what am I doing? What is this? Why something's not changing? Who I'm talking to? Who you see? But also the positive things from recording is that you share what you feel, open, and you share like all of what you think, all of things in your mind. And what I from the first day, I told you guys that I'm doing this because one day when when they ask me, did you did something about your situation, I say yes, I spoke, yes, I did something, and this is the thing that I'm doing right now to through this, my voice, through tell these stories, this experience to the people, to understand that there are some other sides of the world are completely different and needs help. It doesn't mean that if I survive, comes wars, borders, that I survive. No, I don't. We actually don't, because it's very, now it's getting hard because you are in this place and you see all of things happening, and it's still happening, and it will happen if you don't speak, if we don't act. So, and this kind of makes emotional and feelings coming, when we record the podcast. And as when I record, I recorded so many times when I think, okay, it's about spelling, sometimes pronunciation and this stuff in English, because it's not our mother language. So it's kind of also is coming from the language that we, so to understand carefully and understand in a right way, to explain it in a right way. And I struggle with that sometimes. But yeah.
I don't feel like it has a negative part. Even this sad feeling gives you the time to heal yourself and do not forget. Parisa, you like been through this, and you cannot just blare out in like years of memories. You have to accept them. And when I started doing this, I was exactly at that point of my life where I was like asking myself this question. I was like, I wanted to forget so bad. I wanted to just, remove years of my life just because I couldn't go around it. I was too scared. I'm still scared, but not as scared as I was. And doing this helped me so much to accept part of myself that I always denied having it. I always tried to forget. I always tried to not talk about it, to not think about it, just because, it kind of makes you feel sad. But even this sadness that like I'm going through right now, I think has a like positive end, and I'm gonna grow older and be like happier and be who I always wanted to be and do what I always wanted to do without thinking, without being afraid, being scared. Nobody likes sleepless nights. We always want to have peace in our lives, but sometimes that cannot happen if we do not take an action on changing things. And I think people are, even like myself, sometimes I feel like I have too much in life. I cannot do anything, like get anything done. There are days that I hate my like existence, and there are days that I love life. We all have these days. And I think sometimes we forget that we have some responsibilities on those life being taken every day in like so many countries. I'm not only talking about my country when I'm talking in this podcast. And, I'm trying to just think as a human being, and it hurts when I see what I see. And there are people who see the same thing. But do we feel the same feeling? Like, do we have it the same? Oh, no. Is this really enough? But at the end, I'm answering myself that it's all you can do. Talking right now, it's all I can do. To let people know, then they're not gonna have any excuses and be like, we didn't know what people went through. They have no answer in the history. These people who are keeping silent, who are not talking about it and just doing their routine. We're more than being just a body. We're beliefs, I don't think human being is just a body that needs to eat, needs to sleep, needs to work and have fun. We can do so much more. Why did we kept ourselves in a safe zone and we do not want to get out of it? Yeah, it's just too many questions.
Yeah, exactly. I think you are absolutely right, and I agree with this point. I also have this kind of feeling, and as I told you that I'm doing this, that I think it's my responsibility, and what we do is not just for I'm Iraqi, not for the Iraqi refugee or Afghanistan or from Syria or anywhere. It's for us. It's like kind of, I take it my responsibility to don't allow this happen to any kind of any human beings go through this, and to stop this, even with sharing these the stories, with sharing a piece of writing, which any things that would help to as you just said, to show the people what is happening and what is going on, and they don't have any excuse to say, okay, we didn't know about it. Yeah, and I don't know, it's kind of sometimes is like too much, and sometimes it's very, I love what I'm doing. I love to share this podcast, and sometimes I'm asking myself, when I record it so many times and I say, okay, I will give up, I'm not recording this, it's just too much, and then I'm asking myself again and again, if it's not you, then who? And if it's not now, then when? It's you have a choice, you take it or leave it, and you see the circumstances. If you didn't share it, nothing will change. But if you share it, there may be a possibility of changing a child's life, and that will be so much of doing this small action and to be like a brilliant, things for somebody else. And this is what I'm trying, through this all to reach, help, a good life for these children around the world, for these girls who don't have education, and what what I myself, my biggest dream was school, and this is have to be a right for me, not a dream, this has to be my right. I had to have a school, normal life, and but I was always dreaming. I want to change that dreams to a reality, and it has to be reality because it's their right.
Education, on itself, it's a whole another conversation, and a right being ignored, millions of people's right, millions of people who are living in a tent, and their kids are playing with soil and water. That's the only human right that they have, and is existing, and is not enough, because they are a human being just like us. And I don't know how they can put people even in their minds, in two separate groups. Because when you Because when we look at each other, we're all the same. It's just the shape, you know. It doesn't matter. Like, what kind of shape do you have? It's what's inside. And people like seems to feel empty these days.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love doing what I'm doing, and I totally agree with you. You know, at the end of the day, at least I don't have that bad feeling with me, that guilty feeling with me, that, you know, you could change something. You might have changed something if you were doing this, but you're not, because you feel weak, because you feel not enough, because you feel not strong. But it's a lie, you know, because none of these are true. You are too, like, you are capable of doing something and you're not doing it. So obviously you're going to feel guilty. Then why you're doing this if you don't want to feel guilty? So I'm doing it because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like Pavie. And every time it pushes me, you know, to go further and do more. And I do want equal for everybody. I don't want, like, you know, human rights only for kids in a specific country. It's about all of us. And that is why we're doing this podcast, because there are so many wrong stuff going on for like too long. It's enough. And yeah,
and but there's like us, you know, sometimes there's something like it's difficult to share it, you know, because the thing that is that I've been I have so many things on, you know, unsaid things in my you know, in my mind, and I want to share them like very much with people, but yeah, sometimes it's also getting difficult to explain what you want to say, you know. And but yeah, it's kind of helping, you know. You see that you know, when I record this, I see that we are doing something, and this is, at least we are trying, and this is what is success, you know, mean to us. Like, we are succeeding because we are trying. And
right, we are trying, and we are not going to stop.
We are unstoppable of doing this, because yeah, it's kind of, you know, at the end of days, it also when you know, when you hear yourselves and you find you kind of feel good, you know. That's hard times, that, you know, recording, remembering these stuffs, or, you know, that dark past. Sometimes, you know, for me, bringing that, all of that experience in the past, you know, I get very emotional when I remember. I get very, you know, sometimes depressed to remember all of that and see it's happening right now. And I have, you know, I'm not capable of changing, you know, alone. You know, I have all of these responsibility, and it's just me, and I'm holding all of these, and I don't have the power to push or to go, you know, forward. But remembering that all of these experience, you know, these stories, experience, and to tell the people, that also sometimes bring, you know, a light to my future, to see where I was and where I am, and what changed, and what I'm going to change, what I'm capable of, you know, to see my steps, and so clearly. And, you know, this is also something that very, very positive is happening, of, you know, because of sharing, because of telling, because of bringing all that experience to, you know, now, and share it with people.
Right. I wish people could see the goodness inside of them. and
Yeah.
still judge themselves and still do what they're doing. I wish they could do better. I wish we could do better, and we will do better.
Yeah.
This dream will come true, and I want to see it with my damn own eyes. I want to see it with my own eyes. Yeah, that's my dream, and I'm not just saying it is a dream. It's a purpose. It's something. It's a goal, and I want to achieve, and we will achieve it together. It's not a one person's job. It's all of us. It's all of us feeling responsible for what is going on around us and taking an action, even if it's writing about it, even if it's talking to your friend about it, even if it's, recording yourself, sharing something, doing, like, even talking. Just do that, but do not keep quiet. And yeah. Thank you for joining us today and for taking the time to listen and to hear us. Now You Hear Us is made with the support of Amplifying Sanctuary Voices, a community-based oral history project centering the stories of Bay Area residents who have come to the US seeking sanctuary. Check them out by clicking on the link below. The photo used for this episode was taken by Asifa. Editing and production of this podcast was done by both the co-founder of Youth UnMuted, Daphne Morgan, and a new addition to the team, Tara Acharya.